This leads our bulletin. COVID-19 has left South Africa's economy in tatters, and the president reckons young people are key in rebuilding it. Cyril Ramaphosa made his Youth Day address virtually this year. Events that would usually be held across the country are on hold due to social distancing regulations. Maseko Ratlacha is following the story for us. She joins us now live from the newsroom. So Maseko, the president admits our economy is in big trouble, and he says the youth must help us get out of this mess.
Well, Shahan, we did hear the president's, address today about June 16. Obviously, this day is to specifically speak to the youth in South Africa about what it is that they can do to try and motivate them, for instance, in terms of whatever it is that they want to achieve in life. So, after listening to the president specifically talking about how it's up to the youth to bring up the economy, and this year being the year where COVID-19 came and all the lockdown and these regulations came into effect, saying that, that is a window for opportunity for the youth once, we are out of this time. But, I think that he was trying to motivate the youth, especially because right now, Shahan, the youth is already demotivated. I mean, yesterday, remember, I spoke to you about a young woman in her early 30s, Dumelo, who owns, a business already. And most youth actually own businesses like that, SMEs, which are, the ones that are suffering the most right now. For the past 3 months, some of them have not been able to get a salary in terms of businesses. So, for instance, with her, she's 3 months back on rent. She's 3 months back on, paying her employees. So I think the president was trying to just speak to people like Dumelo about that. But also then there's the youth that have, for instance, lost their jobs during this time. Some of them, have had to take 30% salary cuts, 50% salary cuts. And of course, I think the president, what he was basically saying was the youth needs to think now what it is that they can do business-wise, new innovative ideas that will be strong even during times like these. There's a lot of businesses that thought they were strong. For instance, Dumelo yesterday saying that she thought that the hair and beauty industry would never die, that it's a very strong business. But this time showed her that it actually is, it's also a business that could die, even though there are women who need to do their hair, there are women who need to do their facials, etc. A time like this shows a lot of people who want to get into business that you need to think of innovative ideas. And during this time, most of what people need to think of is things such as technology, for instance. That's where a lot of people have been doing well. Your Facebooks, the virtual parties that we've seen the youth doing, for instance, on, your YouTubes or Zoom parties, for instance. I had a birthday party for my colleague Lindelo Masigane on Zoom. So those people who created that business are doing well. But here's exactly what the president said to try and motivate the youth in terms of what they can do to up the economy.
The moment that we now confront post-COVID-19 calls young people across the length and the breadth of our country to be part of that change and to be change agents. It also calls on young people to rebuild our economy and make a difference in the lives of our communities. But it also calls on young people to be the young people who are going to underpin everything they do with the best of values, who are going to be rooted in principle, in creating a South Africa that we can all be proud of.
Now, Maseko, before we let you go, we know events can't really be held due to COVID-19, but you were in Soweto on Vilakazi Street. What happened there today?
Well, Shahan, I expected that Soweto would be quiet, although, on Vilakazi Street it was very weirdly quiet. It was basically abandoned, that iconic road where, usually, especially during public holidays, weekends and times such as June 16th public holiday, there'd be a lot of people along that road going into the restaurants there, enjoying each other's company, enjoying a few drinks and some meals together. But of course, the lockdown regulations say that we cannot be gathered in a group. So all those businesses are unfortunately closed, Shahan. They can't be operating at the moment. So that's what you find in that area. But I found one business. It's called the Box Shop. What they do is that they have an upstairs and downstairs. So downstairs they sell African print clothing, and upstairs is where you can sit, or rather, as we say, the youth, chill with your friends. But of course, they couldn't have anything happening upstairs. But what they had downstairs was an event where they invited a lot of influential youths in the Soweto township, such as a woman, her name is Garaboranda. She actually is one of these hip-hop artists, but also motivating people in terms of business and what they can do to grow their business. They had people like that motivating the youth on a YouTube channel. They had young boys under the age of 18 who usually use skateboards, to entertain themselves. They took those boys and they asked them to skate along, the route of the Soweto uprising march. So we saw those types of scenes, especially at the Box Shop, Shahan, where they tried basically to still commemorate the day. And as you'll hear the co-founder saying, come hell or high water, they'll always commemorate June 16th, 1976.
For us, it has been a tradition to continuously celebrate June 16. I think for us, it's part of our genesis. We have taken a conscious decision about 5 years ago to say we'll commemorate this day, come rain, come shine. And I think seeing ourselves in the pandemic, we said to ourselves, this is not going to stop us. There are restrictions put together by government that we need to follow, social distancing, wearing a mask, sanitizing. And I think if we could be able to adhere to that, we could be able to put something, a showcase for our audiences who've been following the same June 16 event for the past 5 years to kind of experience how the day is, and also kind of celebrate the bravery, of the youth of 1976. I think the weather was similar to this. It was more freezing than this. It was a Wednesday, 1976, and they came out to kind of put their voice together out there. And I think for us, it has been very important to say, young people, where they are now, they're a bit distorted, they're a bit depressed, and we are trying to add a bit of sunshine in their lives with this June 16 commemoration.